When I ask studio owners what their dream life and business look like, most of them actually say freedom. They yearn for a business that gives them either financial freedom, time to spend with their family and friends, or even the opportunity to travel. And I have to tell you, quite a few say, I want it all. I want time and money and freedom, and I want to travel, and I want to, do all those things that feel good and bring me joy. I want freedom. And so, in this week's episode, we are going to really have an unfiltered conversation about how you get all the freedom that you can ever want. If you're joining me, say hello. I'm Erin Bird, and I support dance studio owners and educators to really grow their businesses without the overwhelm, the burnout, the sacrificing their personal life. Because the truth is that you don't have to. You can have your dream life and business, they can go hand in hand for you. Um, we just have to create it in that way. And so, if you're joining me, say hello. We want to know that. If you come back on the replay, we want to know that as well. That way, we can continue the conversation with you. And I have to tell you that every Wednesday morning when I come on live, I want it to be an active conversation. That way, we can really dig in and see what the takeaways are. And if you do have a takeaway or a nugget or something that really resonates with you, we would love for you to share that as well. You can even just drop a little hashtag nugget if you'd like. And then that way, for those friends who do come back in on a replay, they're like, ooh, nugget, I'm going to lean in a little bit closer because if it resonated for them, it may resonate for me. So, know that, my friends, that we want to chat with you, to have a conversation about this topic. I know tomorrow here in the States is the 4th of July. It's Independence Day. And so it gets us thinking about freedom and really, how does that go hand in hand with our businesses? And so the first thing that I would say is we have to define, what does freedom mean for you? And I'm going to say, in this context of really your life, your business, um, we all have context of what freedom means. Good morning, Michelle. I'm so glad that you're here and you're able to join us. And so the first thing that I always start with my clients is, what does freedom actually mean for you? What does that look like? What does that feel like? Like, if you were to really lean in and say, I want to write down, like, I'm dreaming. This is just the best day ever would be. And I want you to you can write it out, you could journal it, you could, record yourself thinking about it, whatever it is that feels easiest for you. But what does your dream day look like? Now, I have to tell you, a lot of times for a lot of people, when we get asked that question, we kind of sometimes we'll go to humor, right? And we're like, well, my best day ever is, sitting on a beach somewhere every single day, drinking, a blended cocktail, right, with my feet up and reading a good book. And while that may be true for you, what I also find is, when we dig a little deeper, what we find out is, while that might be good for you for a little bit of time, it's not going to actually fulfill you over the course of time, for the full, for this full time ride we call life, right? So, what I could tell you is, I knew for myself, I knew that I always wanted to be a mom, but I also knew that I wanted to be fully present in that, for my kids, then show up for all the games and the awards assemblies and do all that. But I also didn't, I wanted to work outside the home as well. And I knew that about myself. And I knew that being a stay at home mom just wasn't going to be for me. And which, you know, is okay. That's okay, right? But so what I know about myself is that if I were to joke and say, I just want to sit on a beach somewhere and do that, I would not feel fulfilled. I just wouldn't. I don't feel like I would be honoring my passions, honoring things that I want to do and make an impact. Like I just wouldn't be. So sometimes we give that initial, like, I just want to, sit on a beach somewhere. But the reality is, what does freedom mean to you? Right. And sometimes it can be a little hard to define that because we have certain stories that we are ingrained in us, whether from the time we were young, what happened, with your parents, your grandparents, that sort of thing, and then with yourself as you move forward. Um, we all have different ideals and ideas of what success is, what freedom means, right? I have some friends who, to them, freedom is working for someone else, a 9 to 5, not having to worry and have the stress, that maybe comes with being the leader or being an entrepreneur. Or, I have some friends, to them, that's freedom. Freedom to them is like, yeah, I get to go and clock in, I get to do my thing, and I get to clock out, and then I'm done. I don't have to worry about it, right? I find comfort in that. I find knowing, feeling like there's stability and right. So what the first thing I would say to you is, what does freedom mean for you? What does it mean for you? And you could share that here with us in the chat if you'd like, or you can just journal it, um, write it down, kind of figure out what does that look like for you, because it's different for each person. Um, there's no other you, right, in this world. And so no one else is going to have the exact ideals of what freedom means to them as you. So, you guys, let's get clear on what does that mean to you. Which there's a couple different buckets, right? There's that time bucket where whether that's spending more time with your children, with your friends, with your spouse, with yourself, just quiet, lonesome, being with yourself, being with your own thoughts, like that's part of it. So time, not feeling like you're working a million hours. Maybe that's what you're searching for. Money, right? Financial freedom. What does that look like to you? You know, um, someone the other day, I was having a conversation about starving artist mentality and things of that nature. And someone said, but I'm not in it just for the money. And while I don't think any of us here in our industry are in it for the money per se. We come from it from a place of passion, making an impact, serving others, helping foster the next generation of dancers, artists, that sort of thing. But here's the thing, my friends, money is necessary, right? We all got bills to pay. And money allows us to do more, and not just for ourselves, but for our students, for our families, for our staff, for our community. Money can be the vehicle to do good in the world, right? You can't do more when you're poor, right? So, financial freedom, what does that look like for you? And I want to say that this is something that I do get up on my soapbox a little bit about, is that we have to remember that we have a future. And we don't know how long that future is going to be. So it is unpredictable. And we do need to live life to its fullest. But we have to plan for the future. We have to save money, retirement. We have to look at what's the quality of life that we want to have, not just immediately, but for the long term. What are our needs? And as we go through different seasons of life, our financial needs will probably change, right? Um, what we need as a family financially, a family of 4 financially, I'm sure will change when my kids are adults and on their own. I mean, so like obviously it would probably change, right? What we need, but what does that look like? right? And then the relationships, you know, is freedom being able to invest time, energy into the relationships that are meaningful for you. And so let me know if out of these three buckets, right? If you're here with me, or when you come back in on the replay, I want to know too, but out of these three buckets, is there one area that you feel like, oh, that's the area I'm lacking in? Time, money, relationships? Is there one area, or is there something else that you're like, gosh, I just yearn for XYZ, right? Let me know. I want to know because sometimes people think that, um, that if they don't have the money, they can't have the time, right? Well, until I reach this financial goal, I have to work 80 hours a week. Huh? Right? So this is where we do have to really let freedom guide you, which is the topic today. And so that goes back to number one and really getting clear on what freedom will mean for you in your life and in your business. If you guys know me, if you've been around for a while, you know that, or you may have heard me tell the story that, a lot of times when you're a kid, people say, what do you want to be when you grow up? And for me, there was like literally my two like answers were, I want to be a dancer and I want to be a nomad. And people would chuckle at me. Um, Now, whether you're chuckling because the idea of being a dancer or the idea of being a nomad, I don't know which one they thought was cuter or funnier. But the reality is that I have always had this innate wanderlust, right? Like from the time that I was little, like I wanted to explore. Um, and so for me, you know, all three go together: the time, the money, the relationships, travel, right? It's to me, I think you learn so much from traveling. You learn about different cultures and people, you learn about different ways of life. You can get a different perspective on the world um, when you travel. Sometimes that you can't see when you stay in your own backyard, right? And so, for me, a huge piece of this freedom was the ability for me and my family to be able to travel and to be able to help give them, my children, some of the exposure earlier on that, maybe I didn't get. We didn't travel a ton when I was a kid. Um, and maybe that's why I was just like, I want to be a nomad because I want to go and let let the think about horses, like let go of the reins, let me just go and travel and see the world. And I will tell you, like after well, into high school, but once I got into college, that was like I had to go explore, and I started, traveling internationally for the first time, um, right after I graduated, because it to me was something that again goes back into the idea of what freedom looks like, right? Anybody else here love to travel? Or just me? I am that person. Like my passport is ready to go. I, you know, like you tell me, have passport will travel. um, and so as we look ahead, I'm planning like, oh, what does this look like for us? For me and my husband, for us as a family, what does that all look like? Which brings me, I don't know if you guys saw, I've been doing some of these crazy deals. And I'm saying that in air quotes because, you know, um, when I told my team, like, I just wanted to have some more fun and joy and give some opportunities and, do some things. And I was kind of going through some of these crazy deals. There were a couple that, when I told them, they kind of raised their eyebrow at me. They're like, are you sure you want to do that? I'm like, yes, I am. I've made a decision. Yes, I am. And so we did a couple, the ones that you've seen, we did a 3-month coaching package for our mobile programs, which was amazing. We had a couple studio owners jump on that, which is great. We had the rest of 2024 that just ended up the Empire Builders Club. So we did a really deep, oh my gosh, discount on that because I know, y'all, it's officially July, which means we are halfway through 2024. And if you're thinking about, okay, where am I at? What were the goals that I set at the beginning of the year? Am I on track? Maybe, maybe not. That's okay. We have 6 months to course correct. But you better hear me out. How fast did the first 6 months of 2024 go? So how do you think the second half of 2024 is going to go? And so unless we're intentional about making changes, you will come to another year. January 1st, 2025 will come, and there's nothing worse, in my opinion, than being in the same place that you were the year before. Because you got so busy that you didn't take the time to be intentional about focusing on your goals. And so this is why we were leading up to July 1st, to July, we had decided that I decided I wanted to do some of these deals because I think that, it's time. It's time. And so this next deal that we did, which you may have seen through email or whatnot, I haven't posted a ton about it yet. But you all know that we have the Dance Studio Owners Business Retreat. This year it is on the Gold Coast in Australia, which is going to be, oh my gosh, so, so good. The theme of this year's retreat is next level success. So it kind of ties into our topic today and really defining what that looks like for you. And really, we have some amazing Australian speakers who are coming in. And so the crazy deal that we're doing is if you've been looking at that, if you know that you've wanted to attend one of our Dance Studio Owner Business Retreats, we are offering right now, we are offering a $500 flight credit, y'all. $500 flight credit. So good because we want to make it accessible. We know that sometimes when we think about, okay, the flights, whatnot. So this week, right, we have, I'm looking at my calendar right now, so I know. Basically, this is through this Sunday. So if you are thinking about it and you want to talk about the retreat, is it the right fit for you? It is a small, intimate group. We have Stacey Morgan, we've got Simone Cadell, myself, we've got Jen Randall. It is going to be chock full of amazing, high-level coaches and speakers who are going to really share their stories and how, teach you some things. Each person has a workshop, and then you also get, obviously we have fun stuff there. When we plan our retreats, we come at it from the place of the perfect combination of rest, relaxation, luxury, and learning. You get to get away from the day-to-day. You have time to get the clarity, the support that you need to know what does that next level of success look like. You get to explore a little. We have some really amazing activities and excursions that are planned. I don't know about y'all, but I've always wanted to just snuggle and hug a koala. We are going to get to have breakfast and snuggle with the koalas as one of our activities and our excursions. We've got so much good planned. Some surprises. I don't share everything because, who doesn't love a good surprise? Well, I know I do. So there's some surprises in there. So if you have questions about the Dance Studio Owners Business Retreat, just drop the word retreat below. I will reach out to you and we will see, obviously talk through it, answer any questions that you might have. The dates for that are November 4th through the 8th. So y'all, it's going to be such a great time. So if you have questions about the retreat, or this crazy deal that we're doing, let me know and we will chat about it some more. All right. Going back to, tying back into this freedom. Um, if you're an entrepreneur, if you're a dance studio owner and you have that spirit, entrepreneurs want their entrepreneurial life to integrate with their overall life purpose, which allows us to achieve, satisfaction and significance, honestly, that we desire. And when we're thinking about freedom, we're really thinking about freedom of purpose. Freedom of time and money and relationships, they all build up and they compound to enable us to have a freedom of purpose. I really, I think about this a lot, and I really think that that is what it boils down to, is freedom of purpose. What's our purpose here on this planet? What's our purpose? And being a dance studio owner, being an educator, it allows us to live in our purpose. It allows us to live in our purpose. And so when we go through these steps and when we can get really clear on what freedom means to us, number one, right? What are you yearning for? Are you yearning for more time freedom, more money freedom, more freedom in your relationships? Like, what's your desire? What does freedom look like to you? Do you want to travel more? Don't put reins on me. Let me go, right? Freedom, but it really boils down to those things are all compounded, and they're all in a marriage together to create that freedom of purpose. That freedom of purpose. And the vehicle is our business. But what I have to tell you is that you are not just a dance studio owner, right? That is, being a dance studio owner is not who you are. It's not your identity, right? And so we have to really take a look at how are we living in our freedom of purpose and still honoring the freedom that we so desire. And if you're a dance studio owner, or if you own a business in our industry, you're an entrepreneur, right? And when you have that spirit, it has to align, and you have to let freedom guide you. That's what most studio owners, or most entrepreneurs, I'm not going to necessarily say studios, most entrepreneurs, they will start their first business because they have the spirit, because it's rooted in freedom. It's rooted in freedom. So how will you let freedom guide you in the second half of 2024? What things need to change so it's in alignment with what you so desire? Or are you on the right path, and are you thinking about that? Are you going back to your big why and what that looks like? Revisit it often. Let freedom guide you. Because that freedom that you so desire tells you what actions you need to take. Yesterday, I met with a woman who is in our Chamber of Commerce, and we met for coffee. And we were having a conversation, about some different networking groups and different things. And she said something to me that actually ties right into this. And this idea is that you have to surround yourself with people who, are maybe one step ahead, or who bring you joy, who maybe have that same spirit that you do. And she had mentioned she was in a group that a women's networking group that I'm not part of, but that she's in this networking group. And she was like, I just couldn't continue to stay in that group. And I said, oh, why? What was the catalyst for you to say that you didn't want to renew or whatnot? And she said, well, what I found was that the women inside the room, they weren't entrepreneurs, they weren't business owners. And I kind of looked at her, and she said, well, no, yes, it's a business women's networking group. But what I found was they were more hobby owners, and they were, they were whining essentially every meeting about, either someone was always whining about, not having enough sales, not having enough time, not having, all the things. She's like, but then they wouldn't do anything about it. They just wanted to complain. And that's not what I want in my circle. I want people in my circle who are taking action to achieve what freedom looks like to them, who are actually doing so, who aren't complaining about it, who aren't staying in the same place as they were last year, and they just don't understand why it works for everybody else, but it's just not working for them. It was very, it was that reminder that your community matters. Who you surround yourself with matters. And that is why, one of the big reasons why I created the Dance Studio Owners Business Retreat is because what I found was the people who are attending our retreats are studio owners who aren't about whining, that aren't about, why isn't it working for me? It's not fair. No, that is not who attends these retreats. One, because that's not me, and I can't handle that. But two, they are studio owners who know that they need to take action. They need to surround themselves with people who have been there, done that, who are doing it, who are badasses, honestly, and that are really looking for the next level of success. Because they are not about to be in the same place that they were the last year. They know that support is vital, which is, honestly, I love it. Like, we only take up to 8 studio owners on these retreats. We want to keep them small so they get lots of touch, lots of support. It is a true retreat experience. And if you've never been on a true, and I say that very intentionally, there's some other things out there that people call retreats that aren't really retreats, they're conferences. If you're sitting in a huge ballroom with 100 other people at tables and there's PowerPoints and all that, that is not a retreat. I'm just going to call a spade a spade. So, my friends, I digress. So, what does freedom look like to you? Get clear. Then you can start to take the actions in the second half of the year to make it happen. If you need some support, we all need a little support from our friends, right? If you need support, if you need someone to help you cut through all of the stuff, right? Let us know. Drop the word support, and we'll reach out and see how we can support you in your journey. Now, let me know. I hope that what freedom looks like to you, what are you going to do to get clear on the second half of the year? And next week, I'm excited because I have a guest coming on next week. And so you guys don't want to miss out on the next episode of the Aaron Bird Live Show, where we really talk about business, mindset tips and tricks. We talk about strategy. And my hope is that you leave here on Wednesdays or whenever you listen or watch the replay with a little bit of joy, and know that there's so much possible out there for you, my friends. There is. You just have to decide. Michelle, you as well, and everyone here, I hope that you have a happy, fun, and safe Independence Day, 4th of July, and I hope that you all take some time to rest over the weekend. So today is my last day working, and then I'll be off Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and be back at it on Monday. So we'll be taking a 4-day weekend. So my friends, make sure you're taking care of you. You have fun. You enjoy your time. And I will see you all next week for the next episode of the Aaron Bird Life.